All right, guys, welcome to the woods. We got a lot of stuff to cover. But I was thinking about how the last few days we sort of talked about the 24,000 year journey of the planet around the galaxy and how perfect that is, and how in a low vibration, much like being cold in a frozen environment or frozen vibration, it's not really about temperature, but vibration acts the same way as temperature. And then we rise up to a very high temperature. And there's things you can do in a high temperature environment that you can't do in the frozen environment. And when we're coming out of the frozen environment, which we've been doing for a few thousand years, at 12,000 years is the peak, and at 12,000 years is the lowest vibration. We just come about 2,000 years out. So we're well on our way. But that doesn't mean that we aren't going to have turmoils and struggles and all that type of stuff, because we're working our way through. And integrating higher vibration and more connectedness to your, which is really what this is all about. That higher vibration means that high vibration of the collective consciousness, the God source, the light of divinity, your soul's connection, your soul's source of all knowing and all love, is closer. And you can see it and feel it. And so connecting and being enlightened and being a healer or being a channel or all that stuff is all going to be much easier. And that's why, 30, 40, 50 years ago, some people way back 100 years ago, there were fewer people that could channel psychically derived information in the past than there are now. But we're not really paying attention to them, and we should be paying attention to them. So this is my little nudge to pay attention to them. But one of them I want to talk about first, Edgar Cayce. He was my first guy. 40 years ago, I started reading all of his stuff. As soon as I heard a little something about him, that was back in the day where you couldn't, look up on your phone, who's this guy, what's he got to say? You had to actually go look him up in the periodic table at the library and go find an old book. And they don't always have them on these weird guys that no one wants to talk about. So he in his psychic, in his trance, when he was out cold, basically, he would answer questions for people, and they ask him anything they want. So one of the things he shared was that they were talking about diet a lot then. And he said, well, if your body's alkaline over this certain, 7 point whatever pH, on the alkaline side, you won't get viruses. And on the acidic side, the viruses thrive. And that was 180 years ago he said that, at least. It was old news when I heard it. We don't even talk about it still today. It's out there. You go on the web and you can find alkaline, acidic diets and things like that, but it's not really the thing. The only really person I found with any kind of authority on that topic lately was Anthony Williams or something like that, medical medium. And he's just a psychic channel guy too. Doesn't mean they're the most gifted. You can't look at him and say, well, that's the smartest guy I've ever met, so it must be that he's right. He's not right. He's just channeling information. He's a good channel. That's all you can say. He's a good channel. But his information goes right along with Edgar Cayce. And I heard a little bits and pieces. I'm like, someone channeling information about alkalinity and detoxing with fruit. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So, of course, I went right to his stuff. And I opened the first book, first chapter, first line. Seems to be like the new Edgar Cayce, today's Edgar Cayce. And I'm like, bang, I could tell. And so he gives how to become more alkaline, how to detox from today's current environment. There's a lot more metals. In case you haven't noticed, we pulled a lot of stuff up out of the ground. There's a lot of metals down there. So we have a lot of metal toxicity. And that's what's causing all the nerve stuff and all that weird stuff. So there's a detoxing process of pulling the metals out of your cells, and all that abnormalities is like where the metals coagulated and held, and your body wants to let them go. It gets released out of a part of not your veins. Your veins is like hot and cold water in your house. Rarely does anything go wrong with that unless you spring a leak, and then that's bad. But otherwise, it's pretty much hot on the hot side, cold on the cold side. Is clean water. It always happens. Very rare that you have blood disease, actually. But what you don't look at is the waste side. The waste side's not so exciting, and it's very difficult to measure and look at the waste side. But the other weird thing is in the human body, the waste side, which is just as much or more so than the blood supply side, that side is in cells that when you cut them open, it just lays flat. It's like a balloon, and it just works its way through the balloon, and it just goes flat. And there's no pressure behind it, just like your toilet would be. But instead of hard pipe where you go down in your house and say, I see where that toilet, hard pipe is. It's like, no, this is just a soft membrane, and we cut right through it and we can't see it. We just discovered recently there's a big membrane down the center of the brain, goes all the way down and detoxes the brain and flushes out. For nutrients to go in, something's got to go out. Dead cells are going out. So when stuff's not moving, you're in big trouble. So fluids, high energy foods, aka fruit, is the #1 detoxer. Lots of water, lots of fruit, lots of liquids. But you want to go on the alkaline side, it's also fruit and vegetables. Processed foods, nuts, grains, and meat, really the biggest one, that's all acid forming. So go ahead and eat meat, but just don't do it now. You know, it's like the meat should be piling up and the fruits should be gone. If anybody was really thinking, I'd like to have somebody have an argument with me against that, but I tell you, if I got into a discussion with someone about that, I would know they're in the fear vibration. You watch, you can pick it up. They're like, oh no, this is a fear thing, and then there's no real talking with a person who has fear. The acid alkaline thing, that's why some people get a cold and some people don't. When the cold ran around the house, it's like, well, you were on the acid side at the time the virus came into you, and you stayed there long enough that it thrived, and eventually your body beat it. But go to the alkaline side. So Medical Medium, look him up. He's got a whole bunch of tips in there on how to solve some of these problems. Edgar Casey has it, though. You can go right on YouTube, on Google or YouTube, any of those places, and look that stuff up. But you got to get past the paid advertisers, government sponsored, they're all the same, off their stuff, and stop looking at this virus. Another tip is don't name and label things because what you resist persists. Remember that point? So if you resist, if you're fighting against something, it's more likely to persist. So we're not fighting against a germ and a virus because they're all around us. We're battling germs and viruses all the time. So we're not worried about that. We're just going to make ourselves as healthy as we can physically and move a lot towards fruits and vegetables. And do some research so you can kind of coax yourself into it. Listen to people once in a while when you're sort of slipping. And, you know, it's tough. It's tough to change the paradigm just a little bit. Just asking you to lean towards the fruit and vegetable sides. And some people, if you're way on the other side and you want a dramatic change, then jump all the way over. But most people I know, they're pretty firmly entrenched in wherever they are in that paradigm. So it's a tough one to change. But anyway, so let's move on to something else. Mental health. Mental health is very important. You can change your diet, and if you're in fear, you're going to the acid side. You're going to be acidic just from fear. Uh-oh, my phone's saying low battery. We'll make it to the end. All right, so that's the problem with walking all day. I need to get a little battery backup pack. I used to have one for my old phone, but then they changed the phone. It's not the same size, so the case with the battery pack doesn't work. You know, it's like planned obsolescence, but it's the only game in town, so we're not going to worry about that. But we are going to look at the fact of mental health being very important. So I wouldn't tell someone who was going to potentially deal with a virus or maybe is dealing with the virus, I would say go on the acid side, go on the alkaline side, more fruits and vegetables. Put a little lemon in your water, ginger in your water. There's lots of little things just in your water you're drinking. Can sip on that all day, will help keep you on that alkaline side. Those are really simple, easy trips. But so we should have, an abundance of lemons coming around, and fruits should be really scarce and hard to get. But instead we're out of meat and, other basic stuff, but we're not really out of meat either. But anyway, we won't get into the details of that kind of stuff. But mental health. I wouldn't tell anybody who's trying to move away from fear to go stay in their bedroom. Okay, don't be around people. Fine. But the germ is not running around in the forest like a lion, tigers, and bears. And we really could do a whole segment on this just tying in with the Wizard of Oz, right? I've got no courage. I'm scared of everything. It's like, oh yeah, well, we can fix those things. It's a mental shift. Remember at the end of the movie, it wasn't that they had to go get something. It was just a mental shift. That's why that movie was great, because it dealt with the real issues, or stuff we're talking about now. So, mental health. You got to get outside. You've got to look at big, beautiful, growing things. And luckily, the virus is coming during springtime. It's beautiful outside. So, the governor said it's safe to go outside now. But you come to the parks, and they've yanked out the spota pots, and they turned over the picnic tables, got rid of a bunch of picnic tables. There's no one around. They still have signs stuck everywhere. Beware, beware. I think if you've made it out to the nature and you're out in the public park, I think you can handle, you got to grasp on the general, don't be near each other. I don't see people coming out here and everybody doing group hugs. I don't see any problem with that either, but if you're hugging somebody, then they're your family really anyway, and you've probably already switched it off with them. Of course, because we went months with this thing around we didn't even know, so I don't know. We also have like 2/3 of the population have already had this, or 2/3 more than what we say have had it. So I don't know what our number is at what we say we've had it, but I don't like to look into it too much. It's like soap opera. I know what's going on. Whether it's going to kill 100%, or 90%, or 80%, or maybe just less than 1%, whatever that number is, it is. I just have to work on stay the course, loving on myself, seeing the perfection of everything around me, breathing in that perfection and that level of deep acceptance of what is, not trying to change what is. Stay in my positive mindset that's going to lead me down the positive road. Avoid that negative information that wants to help me create what my demise is going to be. I'm like, I knew I was going to die when I got here. Back on my happy path. And mental health is getting out. Be by yourself. Being comfortable in your own skin, it's a big indicator. If you don't like to be by yourself, then you should be by yourself. If you want to be by yourself all the time, then maybe you should reach out to more people, But anyway, that brings up a good point, that it's always good to just change everything. If you're racked in fear and you just can't get over this whole thing, change your routine, change your schedule, change your time, change what you eat, change what you say, change who you hang out with, change what you watch on TV, change them all. It will open things up. Something's going to snap and you're going to get it, and you're going to latch onto a few new things, and then the other things you'll have gotten away from for a while and you won't go back to them. You're like, ooh, I feel that now. Ooh, yeah, I feel the difference between eating fruits and vegetables and a heavy meat processed food. Like, one of the things is too, the food combining is a big thing. Like, eat fruit on its own. Fruit goes through really fast. It doesn't want to be behind a meat. Now that everything's in stall mode, and it's not comfortable. It's not going to kill you, but it doesn't make you very comfortable. Eat fruit on the empty stomach. So in the mornings, best time. And so water with lemon first, early in the morning. Then Medical Medium came up with this thing. Where do people come up with this stuff? Celery juice. I'm telling you, it's the ticket. That's what cleanses your body and detoxes your digestive tract. It definitely works. You just have to try it. But anyway, so Medical Medium, celery juice, there's a million people out there talking about it. In fact, the celery got hard to get, and it got really expensive for a while, a couple years ago when it first hit. But it's not talked about on mainstream because it came from the spooky side. Let's go back to the facts. The facts are, look at this mugshot. This is that virus I've been telling you about. He's coming to get everybody. That's not a fact. That's fear-mongering. So that's a term I made up. Does that even mean anything? but anyway, so back to the principles. Everything is perfect. Everything on the planet is just the way it's supposed to be. We're all doing the best we can, including the people who are racked with fear. We're all doing the best we can, especially given where the planet is in the galaxy and the vibration that it's holding and the vibration that we're put to, aka we're disconnected from source. And it's scary being disconnected from source, but you can reach closer to source and even be in that high vibration of feeling the perfection. You're going to feel it. When you feel it, it's real. That's what you pull down is just what you feel. So if you feel, that's why they say get one of the benefits of getting in touch with your breath. You breathe in, you can feel it. It's like, oh man, that was a tight chest. Oh. I don't have that now, but I've felt it. I know when I'm feeling tense about things. And so I just stop immediately. Wherever I'm walking along my life and I feel something's a little out of sync, or I'm not living to the true reality of who I really am, the energy ball that I really am, I stop. And I focus on my breath, and I back up and I look at the picture from a broader view and say, how is this perfect? I know it is. Why is this coming up? It's like, everything that comes up in your life, every experience, especially the ones that grab your attention, You bring them up. You conjure out of this environment whatever it is you want to experience, whatever you're trying to integrate, whatever you're trying to learn. So love what comes to your mind. Doesn't mean you have to go squirreling after everything, but love it. And if it doesn't feel good, that doesn't feel good, then just kiss it and set it down. Ooh, that's fear. Ooh, what's that guy in charge preaching up there? Ooh, that doesn't sound good. I got to go stop him. No. Enjoy. I don't need that, but I can let other people be who they want to be and experience what they want to experience. And the planet has diversity, and you want diversity. Contrast is how you find out how good you're doing. It's like, oh, I feel so much better than I used to. Well, by contrast, you are better mental health and physical health if you just make a little nudge. So I'm at 15 minutes. That's my goal. And I think that kind of wraps up those points. Hopefully they make sense. Hopefully they just at least get your curiosity up and get you moving in that direction. Or anybody who's already on that path, they'll be like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm getting outside. I'm working on my mental health, trying to be happier and healthier, eating less meats and processed foods and eating more home-cooked fruits and vegetables. And hydrating a lot and cutting back on my alcohol and changing up my life, changing things up. That's what I'm doing. And a lot of people are doing that. So I really don't even need to make this video. But, you know, I feel there's a lot of people racked in fear, and you can see them. And it was easier to ignore the problem when they weren't so obvious. But anyway, just makes me want to help. So here I am. Pray that the light of divinity, the God consciousness, the all-knowing, all-loving, infinite intelligence will bestow on me something to say tomorrow. And you share your word and share your peace and your love. And your peace and love doesn't usually come in projecting out at anything. So you're not trying to change anybody. Just you go be loving to yourself, be good to yourself, and watch others change. All right, that's it. That's called throwing a love bomb on yourself. So some point in time, we're going to also, once you've really loved on yourself enough, it'll just ooze out and you'll love on other people. So love bombs are coming for everybody. Don't worry. All right, guys. We'll talk again soon. Good luck.